What is up, everybody, and welcome back to This is the Waypoint, the one show here on Shared Screens where we talk all things Star Wars, and it's Star Wars month, so we're talking a lot of Star Wars here. We just did our favorite pieces of Star Wars media for our May the 4th special. Go check that out. We got Tales of the Empire, but right now, here, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and bees, we're talking the Bad Batch. The rest of our batch, gone. It's stuck in
seeing Phantom Menace.
Yeah, seeing Phantom Menace.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah, everyone's out at Phantom Menace. Chris texted that he has personal issues. Brother, you're just gonna go see Phantom Menace again. Let's be honest.
Right.
Everyone's there. Maybe captured on Tantus. We don't know. But it's
gotta feel the rumble of the pod race.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Which is another episode we'll be covering later on this month. Our retrospective on Phantom Menace once everyone has seen it back in theaters. But like I said, Bad Batch today. I'm joined by Alec. Dude, I'm so excited to finally talk about it all. It's been a hot minute for us here on This is the Waypoint since we've discussed things. We started episodic in season 1, and then that immediately turned to, some filler here. Yep, let's start just batching them together, literally batching them together. Do 3 episodes at a time, and then
I think we even went to, by the time the second half of season 1 came out, we're just like, let's just do the halfway and then just the end.
Yeah, literally. And then we covered the first episode of season 2, and nothing since. So we have a lot of ground to cover. So I want to ask you, Alec, because in my mind, this is, full series review. We're going to cover everything. Do we start at the end? Backtrack a little? Do we start where we left off? What are you feeling?
I mean, I feel like it's because it's so recent in our minds and probably everybody else's. I feel like we have to kind of start with season 3. I know you actually binged through all of season 3. This past week?
Yeah, and a lot of it this past last couple days here. But man, oh man, did I love this season. And as you and Chris were telling me leading up to it, all killer, no filler, and that is exactly what this season felt like. Yeah. What was your big take on it?
Man, it's just the ending that season 2 had with, spoilers if you haven't watched it, with Tech's death.
Yeah.
Like, it's like one of those things, like, where do they go from here? Like, death is one of those things that Star Wars, like, unless it doesn't, when people like randomly get brought back, like Darth Maul,
right?
It's like death means something. So it's like the fact that they had such a big death, like such a core member of the batch, like their tech guy, like just seeing that aspect of the team just be gone and having to essentially have people kind of like fill that void a little bit and fumble a bit. It added such an interesting aspect to it. Like, 100%. Honestly made Omega kind of like flourish a bit because she could kind of do some of those things, and I mean, not to the quite extent that Tech could, but kind of filled that void a bit.
Yeah, she definitely picked up on a lot of what he passed down onto her, right? And especially like in season 2, you lose Echo at the halfway point, like he's gone elsewhere. Then you lose Tech, but I think the brilliant thing the season 3 did, and honestly the surprise to me, was filling that void with Crosshair. With this dude who you love to hate in season 1, who then becomes a very sympathetic, sad character in season 2, kind of just, taking it on the chin from the Empire. And then season 3, somehow it's even more devastating. Like the handshakes, all of that was getting to me, right?
Like, when he was meant to put the tracker on the ship.
Dude,
like, there was a part of me that, like, he did it was like that kind of epic moment where it's like you see the handshake as he's going, and then you think like, oh, this is like the hero moment. His hand stops shaking, he nails the shot. It's like, nope. You see the tracker just
right
in the water.
It's what an incredible struggle to see him go through with that. And there are the moments where like Omega is in danger and he's back to his old ways, kind of
Oh
cold
yeah.
cocking him. Not every single shot, but if it's not the first one, it's the second one, right? He
Yep.
is he is back, but he's still struggling. He's still shaking, and like you said,
Mhm.
that moment where he misses the shot, devastating, devastating as
That's honestly the
penultimate.
perfect word for this season. It's just
Yeah,
devastating.
yeah,
Like the seeing Omega get taken back to Tantus is just
right. And that decision too, like on her own, right? Like in
yep.
which they do acknowledge like this is like she is laying down her life for the greater good, so these
Mhm.
people, so this town isn't suffering. But let's also not have that decision be made in vain. Let's go
Yeah.
rescue her. Let's go do
Yep.
one last mission. And yeah, the devastating aspect of it was like you said, definitely there. And one of my favorite parts too of it was reuniting with the clones, right? And
Yeah.
getting a lot of that, a lot of clone prisoners, a lot of prisoners being taken and transferred into these assassins who are just
Mhm.
murking the few clones we have left. And dude, that exchange like, yeah, one of the few things, like, I honestly didn't have anything really spoiled for me
Mhm.
necessarily, except for Wolf being back, which
Yep.
oh my god, dude,
Yep.
I loved it, and of course
Oh
of
yeah.
course, we see him in Rebels, we know, like,
Oh yeah.
we know he survives, we know, he makes it through, to that era, but man,
Mhm.
that was devastating to see, like, clone on clone violence, basically,
Yeah.
they're fighting what's left of each other. Except they have Republic commandos now, and but I do admire Wolf
Mhm.
still having that respect for Rex and letting
Oh
them
yeah.
letting them get away. How did you feel about all that?
Yeah, like that was just one of those episodes, like because that was I think the episode we were introduced to that like assassin
Yeah.
clone
Hmm.
uh aspect of Tantus, I guess.
Right.
They're kind of essentially doing using super soldier serum on
Right.
clones.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Um, and yeah, just seeing that, like, because this is something I was actually talking to a coworker about, is that the Bad Batch from the very beginning, like, they're like, we don't shoot our brothers. We always,
Right.
do our best to have their weapon set to stun whenever they're,
Yes, dude.
own thing. It's like that's something the show has nailed from the very beginning. And so
Right.
seeing this is just seeing that was just again just so insane. Just the amount of clone on clone violence. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Which, like you said, that set to stun, right? That is like always like even in our reviews, that's something we've always touched on
mhm,
throughout all of season one, and then our season two episode. And so it's crazy to see them like, especially as they phase out the clone trooper and bring in the
yeah,
stormtrooper, right? Like it was crazy to see them, go like, shoot to kill a lot more this
yeah,
this time around. But then when it became Wolf and crew versus Rex and company, like that
hmm,
was, yeah, yeah, like we said, devastating. Um, and one of the things like I really liked about this third season, of course, I like and I dislike it. Uh, uh, you know, as a Star Wars fan, it's always hard. I hate being like, oh, I wanted this,
hmm,
like, I hate being one of those Star Wars fans you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. But I do like how up in the air that is. Like,
yeah,
Rex and the company and Wolf, um, and even Cody from season two, right? We
hmm,
saw Cody defect at the end of like awesome crosshair episode in season two, and so I feel like there's still
yes,
a lot of Clone Wars era and clone stuff up in the air with this core element. We got a lot of it in season three, a good
hmm.
amount of it, but I do kind of like how up in the air it is. Um, you know, people being very dramatic on TikTok.
I was
Uh,
seeing those too. Like after I
right?
watched, like the
Right?
Clone War era's done. It's like
Yes.
they
Yes.
never said that. Like
Right? Dude,
I don't know
that's
where
what I
everybody's getting this from. Like
Yes,
what
thank
was it like the
you.
2004 to 2024 or whatever it was? Like I'm like,
The
did I
in
miss something? Did I miss an announcement?
Yeah, dude.
Like,
I was like the in memoriam. Oh my god, I'm so glad you're with me. I'm so glad somebody else has seen this and is on the same page. The overly dramatic in memoriam
Because it was like the sad
happening.
music, like the photos they tried to
Yeah.
swipe through, like
Yeah, and like even then too, right? Like I was mainly like I was caught up by the time those were playing, or
mhm,
at least mainly caught up. But I was like, "Bruh, are we not watching the same show? Like,
right.
there's no answer for what happens to Cody. There's no answer for how Wolf gets, from the Empire to working with Rex and Rebels, and there's no
Yeah.
answer for what happens to the rest of this insurgents. Like, there's so much up in the air, and of
Mhm.
course, Star Wars has so much tap potential here. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost foolish to
To
not
think we won't be
do.
coming back, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? And, like, of course, selfishly, like, I would love that to be the next big AAA animated show
Oh,
from
yeah.
Disney and Lucasfilm here. But even if we did, Tales of the Clones, right?
Yeah.
Next time around, and we finally got closure on Cody, what's happening with Rex and his insurgents and Wolf, like, what's happening with the assassins, right? Like,
Mhm.
what's going on with them? Like, even if we got that in a smaller bite size 6 episode, 10-minute
Mhm.
thing, I'm fine with it, right? And so
Yeah, getting an
I do.
episode with, old Hunter, Crosshair, and Wrecker just
Oh, yeah,
being
dude.
dudes, on that island.
Dude, which
A
speaking
beach
like
episode.
yeah, man. Yeah, so jumping away more from the clone insurgents, because I feel like we really touched on that, to that actual ending here,
Mhm.
and what you just mentioned. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what was your takeaway with all that?
And honestly, I do it was one of those, like, I was almost kinda going into this almost thinking of, like, almost like a Rogue One kinda ending where it's
Me too.
like, this isn't it's almost like in my mind, like, this isn't gonna end well, right? We're not gonna have a
Yeah.
happy ending kind of a thing. Like, it's the Bad
Yeah.
Batch, Clone Force 99, like,
Right.
it's essentially Star Wars version of Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that so that was my thought. I was like, there's no and like the fact that we got it, we got to see like a grown up Omega, like Hunter with like the pepper
Right?
gray beard. Like honestly, I was a little disappointed we didn't get to see older Crosshair or Wrecker, just because I'm
Yeah,
like,
man.
that's another set of figures that Disney could have sold.
Yeah. Dude, well, they already got us when they're getting ready for Tantus, and they're like, "Yeah, we scanned the armor black." I was like, "Oh shit, dude, Disney,
Yep.
bust out the wallet, the all black Clone
Yep.
Force 99, not the black and red, not the blue and
Yep.
orange, and all black. Buy that set." But no, I get what you're saying with the older versions there.
Mhm. But I liked how it left off with just Omega being like, "Hey, you guys had your fight. This
Yeah.
new the rebels, the rebellion. This is my fight."
Right.
Um, I thought that was cool. Another aspect I thought was interesting
Hmm.
was the fact that with Governor Tarkin coming at to Tantus after like the events of everything that happened, and it's
Yeah.
basically like transfer all the funds to Project Stardust.
Right.
Which to me it was just like, oh, so if like Project Necromancer like actually went through and did well to like the Death Star might not have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the implications there. Right. I've said it so much on our Mandalorian reviews here on This Is the Waypoint, but I am ride or die for these sequel movies, and I understand there are some issues, right? There are some issues, but the prequels
Mm-hmm.
had issues, and the prequels retroactively got fixed by
Yep.
Clone Wars, right? And by filler, right? By stuff to fill
Yeah.
in the gaps, and of course the same is going to happen with the sequel trilogy inevitably. And I loved Mandalorian for doing that so early on,
Mm-hmm.
like in season 3 doing that. I just couldn't believe Bad Batch was doing that, dude.
Yeah.
With Project Necromancer, with the M count, with the clones, with everything going on here,
Mm-hmm.
I love that, right? And so incredible, incredible way to go out with Nala State blowing it all up
Yeah.
with Admiral Rampart.
Which which to me is kind of crazy because that means at some point they have to had starting over Project Necromancer because all that data
Right?
got blown up.
Exactly.
Unless unless some crazy thing happened where they had to back up in some remote,
Yeah.
like location, maybe Coruscant or something.
Yeah, there was one data
Google
transfer,
Drive.
yeah, one Google Drive from Tantus to Jeddah, not Jeddah, fuck, Scarif, where they hold
Oh
all those
yeah.
big ass files,
Yep.
right? Like, unless something got transferred over there, like, I do feel like, yeah, it's pretty up in the air, and that is like another thread left to kind of still be fulfilled.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I love that kind of transfer over from, okay, we've started phase one of Necromancer, which obviously we'll see more of come Mandalorian, and then
Mhm.
more further down the line to bridge
Yep.
out Rise of Skywalker. But see phase one, have that taken care of in such an awesome way. I love
Mhm.
Admiral Rampart trying to get the
Oh
data, and
yeah.
Malastay being like, "Nah, fuck you," blowing it
Yep.
all up, understands how dangerous this stuff is, and then,
Oh
yeah, that
yeah.
that transfer over to Tarkin to imply and set up, what's going on
Mhm.
with Rogue One, and even, season 2, they gave us, Director Krennic, in there, actually
Yeah.
voiced by Ben Mendelsohn in the credits, which was
That's
awesome,
cool.
like, awesome that he reprised his role there,
Mhm.
and then, yeah, we're now kinda setting up that line. But to jump back to the ending though,
Mhm.
with that, I feel like it's so weird to not get a sad ending. Were
Yeah.
like were you expecting that? I was like, honestly, we have to lose another
I
major
was,
character.
yeah. Like, honestly, it was close. Like, honestly, at the beginning of the finale, you had Wrecker real injured there. Like, I mean, even
Right.
in the little like family photo op they had like before the jump
Yeah.
to the future, you see a
Yeah.
big old gash in his armor.
Mhm.
Like it was just one of those like I had said it a little bit earlier. It's like I was not expecting a happy ending. Like I was
Yeah.
expecting, honestly, I was gonna be surprised if it was, if two of like if it was maybe just Omega and Hunter in the end, or Omega and
Right.
Crosshair, like
Yeah. Yeah, and like I was definitely right there with you, but it kind of surprised me
oh yeah.
that we did get the happy ending. We got all four of them living out their days on Pebu,
Hmm.
which I like the Empire's definitely aware of it. Like, they kind
Oh
of
yeah.
raided there, right? And they almost like set it up as, yeah, this is like a safe space, right? Which I was
Hmm.
like, this is gonna like tragically, go out. And they just raided it, found Omega, took her away, and then I guess never came back. And they actually did get to live out their days
Hmm.
happily ever after. And still, like, there is still that implication, that if Omega ever needs Hunter in the fight, like,
Yeah.
she is, part of the family, and they will be there for her. Like, I did really enjoy that setup, and that kind
Hmm.
of like space to end it off on, right? Especially too because we see so many of the clones just stick with the fight, right?
Yeah.
And season two starts to sprinkle in those ideas of like, what if we just, set that aside? What if we do find
Yeah.
purpose elsewhere, right? And even the three clones, the younger teen clones they pick up early on in the season, like
Hmm.
in the series, same
Yeah.
kind of thing. All we know is fighting, right? Like this is all we've
Yep.
known for our teen and formative years, let alone the batch who
Oh
entire
yeah.
life that's all they've known.
Yep.
So it's like really cool to see them kind of take that pacifist fight and be like, hey, we don't have to be here. Like we
Hmm.
don't have to do this anymore, right? Which obviously by the implication of time we see with
Yeah.
old like Hunter there, like they put up that fight, but I do like that ultimately Omega is like, no, there's still so much more going on, and like
Yep.
I
I can't
can't.
sit by and watch this happen. I need to be a
Yeah,
part of this.
yeah, which I feel like that, like obviously if we continue this, like there's opportunities for like more devastating stuff as she
Hmm.
pulls herself and potentially the gain back into the fight. Um,
Hmm.
but at least where we left it off there, like I do like the happy ending.
Which, after watching it, I did, because it's interesting how, at least for me, how I didn't see many spoilers before, but then
Yeah.
after is when my timeline finally started like
Yeah.
filling up with them. And I
Mhm.
saw the coolest, like somebody did an art or portrait of Hera and then Omega, since they're like
Ooh.
kind of pilots. It's like I would love to see
Ooh.
that.
Which, like, we met like, the 2 already met in season 1 of Bad Batch, like, that
Oh
was one of their
yeah.
standout episodes, right?
Oh
Them
yeah.
being
I
on
forgot about
Ryloth
that.
with, I think Commander Howell was one of
Mhm.
the, prisoners we rescued, this time around, uh, in season 3 here, right? But they've already done that, and so, like, yeah, the
Mhm.
implication for her to go meet up with Hera, like, there is still so much
Mhm.
potential, so much opportunity to tap in for future animated
Mhm.
projects, right?
And
Um,
Um, and something I guess while it's kind of on the topic of Omega, there
mhm,
was a couple of times in this season where it's just like this was more about I think when she was back on Tantus for
yeah,
the second time, and there's just a couple of times I'm just like, man, Omega's a badass now. Like
yeah, dude,
it's funny how like in season one we're like, not really sure about this Omega character, like
right,
that's but then now it's like, oh, she's got like the whole kind of like prisoner uniform on. And she's got the little lock pick and it's like
yeah,
doing
dude,
the tiles, climbing, doing the Mission Impossible kind of things. It's just
yeah, yeah,
oh dang,
that was
look at
incredible.
you,
Like
Omega.
her laying down the sacrifice, but her also being like, this is what my brothers would do, and my brothers are here to save me, and
Mhm.
her unleashing the Zillow Beast. Is that
Yes.
yes? Her unleashing the Zillow Beast, of course, the most Omega thing to do. Have it wreak
Was
havoc.
that Echo or Omega?
Yeah,
Omega.
yeah, badass line. I
Mhm.
love all the chaos that's going on there while the clones are in this like fight against what is essentially, and I've seen this like online too, but like
Mhm.
Hemlock is making the anti-batch. Like he has his
Yeah.
sharpshooters, he has um, his brute, he has his
Yeah.
one with, like, literally goggles. Like, they look
Mhm.
just like Tech's goggles, and I think
Yeah.
he's the one dual wielding swords. And the conflict that he has with, like the conflict they have against the anti-batch and the actual
Mhm.
Bad Batch, incredible to the point where, like, I didn't think we were gonna make it
No,
out, and
not at all.
when they take
Are gassing
Crosshair,
the room.
dude, gas in the room, they're chopping off Crosshair's hand, like,
Mhm.
insane. Insane stuff here. Um, right, which then, of course, leads to that just badass confrontation with Hemlock and
Mhm.
Omega, handcuffed together,
Yep.
they gotta make the shot together, which again, speaking to Crosshair really rising up and taking Tech's spot in the batch this season,
Mhm.
Hunter and Crosshair finally having the conflict set aside at the
Yeah.
end of the season, and Crosshair's lined up his one working shooting hand on,
Mhm.
again, going back to the hand motif, but he no longer has that hand and he's resting on Crosshair or on Hunter's shoulder,
Mhm.
makes the shot.
Yep.
Oh, dude, one of the most satisfying things in Star Wars right there, I think.
And like Hunter just being like, you'll know. Like
You'll know. Yeah. Yeah, trust Omega, you'll know, like, you'll know
Mhm.
when to do it, you'll know when she's good, you'll know when you're good. Like,
Yep.
you got this, right? Which, yeah, again, leads to this all this just all-encompassing, um, happy ending for season 3,
Mhm.
which in a way kinda like, um, what's the word? Like, contradicts season two's ending,
Yep.
right? Um, Kind of backtracking back to season 2 now,
Mhm.
I feel like season 2 is the Empire to season three's Return of the Jedi. You
Yeah.
know, if
Yeah.
we got that happy ending, um, in season 3, we got the fucking sad ending in season 2, which
That was
yeah, what are your
well,
thoughts on that?
and then just because it has been, I don't think I've actually watched season two since it's come out and since like
Right.
I've finished that. But
Yeah.
just like you brought up the whole Empire aspect of it, we get Tech's death, but then all of a sudden it's just like we find out that what's her name, that lizard lady, I'm blanking on her name,
Sid.
but Sid, she betrayed us
Yes. She
after Tech's death.
First of all, fuck Saw Gerrera. Saw Gerrera blowing up
Mhm.
that base they're on with all the high end Imperial
Oh
officers,
yeah.
like kind of directly leading to Tech's death, right? Like the mission
Yeah.
is going fine until they run into Saw Gerrera. Me and all
Yep.
my homies fucking now hate Saw Gerrera. Fuck Saw Gerrera. Dead to us. You're an op.
Yep.
Get him out of here. I hate him. I
Yep.
hate him now.
Yep.
But yeah, you finish that almost kind of like betrayal. Like that's definitely one of those moments between Hunter and Saw Gerrera where he's like, "Don't do this. We're on a mission. Like we just need to
Mhm.
get a tracker onto the ship, and we need Hemlock out of here so we can figure out where Crosshair is after he sent this distress call
Yeah.
for Plan 88." And Saw Gerrera kind of fucks that over, and then Sid fucks them over one more time, right, by selling them out to Hemlock. Like that was devastating, and that's like one of those things kind of left into the air where I feel like I wish we got a little bit more closure with that element of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe it's just one of those things that's just like, hey, she screwed us. She's dead to us.
I
Just.
just move on. Which yeah, like
Mhm.
with the no filler all killer out like vibe
Mhm.
to season 3 and pace to season 3. Like we didn't get a whole lot of Fee, and we didn't get a
Mhm.
whole lot of Sid. Much like Sid, I would have been fine if honestly Imperials just arrested her bitch ass, right, and taken her
Oh
away, right.
yeah.
But still, we didn't get a whole lot of Fee. We didn't get a lot of the side characters outside of
Mhm.
like an episode or two, right. Which it
Yeah,
didn't make me
because
miss the filler, but I don't know. I kind of missed some of those
yeah,
elements.
there was because yeah, it's one of my I guess criticisms against season one for the most part. Because I think season
Yeah,
two didn't have as much filler as season one did. But
yeah,
like the thing that sticks out in my head for in terms of filler is just season one. Like there's the episode where they go get the little Rancor that turns out to be the Rancor in
yeah,
Return of the Jedi for
yeah.
Jabba. It's like, do we really need to know that origin story?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm right there with you, and the speaking onto the series as a whole now, like I definitely feel like we had a bit of our filler bit in the first half,
Mhm.
like our filler heavy episode like seasons in the like with season 1 like you said.
Yep.
Which even then like the filler's still kind of cool. Like you
Mhm.
said, like
Yeah.
we got the baby Rancor, we got Hera on Ryloth
Mhm.
as some of the filler um to that, and then yeah, you're right. Like by the time season 2 comes around, it's a little less filler, but it's still like cool filler just like season 1.
Exactly. Yeah.
We had the Wookiee Jedi come back from Clone Wars.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Um, we
Yeah.
got go for it.
I was just say season two filler reminds me a lot more of like the Rebels kind of like filler episodes where it's still kind of
Yeah,
tied into the main plot, but it wasn't quite. It was still like like where they needed more time for like the higher budget episodes, like the more critical storyline
yeah,
episodes.
yeah, and yeah, I 100% agree. And then even like some of the other filler, Ben Schwartz doing the racing robot stuff in season
Yeah,
2, like that was pretty cool. Like world
that was a good
building.
episode.
Yeah, and that kinda, like, gave us an alternative to pod racing and kinda had
Hmm.
some pod racing vibes. It's pod racing, but not pod racing, but,
Yep,
like,
pod
it
racing
doesn't
at
hit.
home.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly, it doesn't hit the same, but it's still, like, it's still cool. And then even that, like, even we get, Yuri Lowenthal in the mining colony, um,
Hmm.
in season 2, and that's still within that filler. We're finding out, like, how Tech and Omega are dealing with like Echo leaving, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like even within the filler, we're still getting like pretty cool group
Hmm.
dynamics. Which I guess while like on the topic of filler, like I feel like this show it has a lot, but I feel like it handle like you said with Rebels, it handles it very very
Hmm.
well. You know.
Yeah, it was really like it, throughout the series. It really found its kind of groove the more it went on. Like
Mhm.
season one, it definitely took a little bit to get used to it. And granted,
Yeah.
with the cast this big, like I mean, you're talking about season one, you have the five main Bad Batch characters, and you have Omega into this,
Right.
and not even talking about like the other like supplementary cast. Like it's
Yeah.
a big show, so it does take time to like I mean we got a couple episodes in the Clone Wars season 7 to kind of introduce these people,
Right.
but it takes time to really like know the chemistry of this team. Like, yeah, you can
Right.
tell us they've been doing these missions forever, but until we actually see the camaraderie between them,
Right.
we don't really
Yeah.
feel it. So that's why I think season 1 actually, now thinking about that, the filler episodes are actually honestly kind of genius if you think about it, because
Mhm.
it does give it, like you were saying, it gives us that time to get the chemistry between maybe two of the
Right.
members, and
Yeah.
so it it's one of those, like, it didn't really click for me until just now. That's like
Right.
that's probably the reason why season 1 seems like it has more filler, but that just gave us more time with the Bad Batch members.
Yeah, and it like and especially as one of the major themes of Star Wars is always that found family element, right?
Mhm.
We do spend a lot of time with them toward like to where towards the end, like I fucking love Omega.
Oh
And I
yeah.
did not love Omega watching
Mm-mm.
season 1, and I was like,
No.
"Oh shit, they got a little sister." Like these badass soldiers from
Mhm.
season 7 of Clone Wars are now with this little kid, like,
Babysitting.
yeah, babysitting. I'm like, oh, roll my eyes into the back of my
Yep.
head, like, why are we doing this? And to the point where I'm like, damn, Omega's like off to fight like to fight alongside the rebellion, and I want to
Mhm.
see that. Like,
Yes.
I did
Yes.
not think
Right
they
there
would,
with you.
right? I did not think we'd get that, which I guess like in a way is kind of like similar to what the arc we went on with Ahsoka, right? We
Yeah.
have we have Anakin and Obi-Wan, they're the boys. We finally get to see the boys
Mhm.
together doing awesome missions. Oh, now you're giving me this little fucking kid that Anakin has to
Yep.
babysit, and then you watch the season 7 finale, the Clone Wars series finale,
Yep.
and you're bawling because fucking Rex and Ahsoka have gone through all this shit together, and they're like,
Mhm.
they're characters you come to grow and love, and I said this on our favorite media episode, but I do, especially now having seen it all, I do think it's my favorite animated show, which I feel
Ooh,
like is
yeah.
I feel like it's crazy to say, um, because like Clone Wars is so beloved and
Oh, yeah.
Rebels is so beloved, right? And especially, you know, I feel like I kinda took, Clone Wars a little for granted, or not Clone Wars, Rebels a little for granted. Like, I watched
Mhm.
it, back in 2020, and I enjoyed it, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, "This has a lot to do with, the grander Star Wars story," right? I love seeing Vader in this, I love seeing Thrawn, and I like the show, right? And then I watched Ahsoka, and I was like, "Damn, like, Rebels is something else." Like, all these
Mhm.
elements translated into live action, like, gave me the appreciation for Rebels. Always like Clone Wars, but I don't know. I feel like this 3 seasons we got here in Bad Batch, like
Mhm.
short, sweet, to the point, and like I said, kind of having
Yeah.
that same Clone Wars effect, but in 3 seasons instead of 7.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, yeah, and just the other thing, I mean, granted, this is more just the time and technology that they have now, but season 3 honestly rivals some like just full length animation. Like the studio went just all out for this
Yes,
season with
dude.
how well it looks.
Yes, it is something else, and like you said, like all the stuff in the vault, all the scenery on Tantis,
Mhm.
um, even the Imperial encampment they rescue Rampart from,
Yeah.
like some of those shots, incredible. That action sequence with the 2 tanks,
Oh yeah.
chef's kiss,
Yep.
chef's
And
kiss.
this is something I think I did mention in our previous episode about our favorite Star Wars projects when you brought up Bad Batch about like the shot over Tantus. They gave us that again in the finale with
Yes,
him with the Star Destroyer going over top of it.
oh, dude, oh
Again,
my god,
anytime you get the shot of like something cool in Star Wars and then a Star Destroyer going over it, like
yes, yes,
just
that will always
make it
be
a
a chef's
poster, make it a
kiss.
phone wallpaper. Like,
That was literally what I was about to say. That is like always wallpaper ass material right there, because
mhm.
like that always looks, those pictures always go so goddamn
Oh
hard.
yeah.
Absolute album cover material, wallpaper,
Yep.
like you said. Um, and yeah, so like you said, I think the technology is there to make it look incredible. And we were saying this back in 2021 with season one as well. Like we've
Yeah,
been saying this the whole,
the whole
3 year run,
series.
the whole run here, but it is crazy to see it, right? And just see it
Hmm.
get perfected and revised over and over again. And I
A
definitely
lot of
think
it's
that,
just having to do with the lighting. Like honestly,
yeah,
you have good lighting in this show, it
yeah,
just
dude.
makes everything else, just brings everything else that much better.
Oh yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. That and the sound design too, like the Zillow Beast
Yeah.
and all the shuttles. I love one of my favorite things here is the Imperial fighters. We're not fully
Mm,
TIE fighter just yet,
yeah.
but we're
So
kind
like
of
what was it, the
seeing,
A-wings, I think they're called?
yeah, yeah, they're kind of a little bit more pointy with
Hmm.
the side wings. Incredible. I love all that stuff too.
Hmm.
Um And then like another big thing I feel like we don't talk about enough, too, is just for a show that doesn't have any Jedi
Yeah.
or anything to deal with the grander Skywalker saga, there
Hmm.
are some huge ass implications and big
Hmm.
world shifting events that happen in Bad Batch that I feel like we do not give enough credit to, right? Um,
Hmm.
like,
Like we got to see, I think it was season, yeah, I know it was season 2, but
mhm.
we got to see the creation of the stormtroopers in this series.
Yes, dude. We got to see the creation of the stormtroopers and the phase out of the clone troopers.
Yeah.
Um, and we just watched Phantom Menace this weekend.
Hmm.
Um, and man, I fucking hated the politics. Watching
Yeah.
this movie last night, the fucking vote of no confidence and the bureaucrats and all this shit, that shit just bored me. But when we're in Bad Batch and we're talking about like pension funds for clone
Hmm.
troopers, and
Yeah.
we're talking about, how are we gonna look like we made an army, how are we gonna look after them? The
Yep.
politics brought into that element of the prequels,
Hmm.
I think Bad Batch is we've spent so much time in the prequel era, in the Clone Wars era, that we just know this shit and we're just perfecting it. So when we
Yeah.
get to the politics of the Bad Batch, like it's interesting, right? They're setting up
Hmm.
assassins to kill Senator Chutzi because she's
Yeah.
trying to like unveil this big conspiracy against remaining clones. We're seeing them get phased out, and even
Hmm.
when they do it, they are like, yeah, they blew up Camino. They blew up Camino,
Yeah.
a planet we all grew up with, right? And
I
like is
think it was
so
just the
iconic.
city, not necessarily the planet. Just
Oh, oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah, they demolished the city, the clone
cloning
city.
facility. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's favorite Battlefront map, like
Hmm.
one of the coolest um, visual like environments in
Yeah.
all of Star Wars. The rain, the ocean gets blown up, and they unveil it, and Emperor Palpatine comes out to be like, "Yep, nope, you're right. You know who blew it up? Clones. They're following orders. We got to phase them out." Like you see the direct like consequences of that,
Hmm.
right? So they're like huge world shifting things done in like 3 seasons, and then yeah, all the necromancer stuff we talked about, which
Hmm.
goes awry and then fucking leads to the Death Star, dude. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Because that's the thing I think we got in season 3. Just the amount, like when the Emperor made his visit to Tantus, and it's like he's just basically like, you have unlimited funding, just
Yeah,
go get this project done.
yeah,
And so when you like, you don't realize, like, it's the Empire, like they got all the money they could ever want, kind of a thing.
right.
And he's basically saying, "Oh, you have unlimited funding to get this done."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then they're like, "Oh, hey, since this didn't go well, put it all to this other project." It's
right.
that's what, like, that blew my mind when they said like Project Star. Like I know it's one of those
Yeah,
things that if you know, you know, kind of things, but
right.
it just made me think. And I know I mentioned this earlier in the podcast, but just would the Death Star have happened if if this went through, like if this
Honestly,
worked?
honestly, probably not too, right? Because like you said, unlimited funding, but the Emperor also says unlimited funding to secure the future,
Yes.
right? They this Emperor dies, Necromancer, we get a new Emperor. with
Mhm.
that is perfectly cloned with the M count, probably,
Yep.
you know,
Even more
again,
powerful.
we just watched Phantom Menace, one of the most eye-rolling moments, fucking midichlorian counts and a kid being
Yep.
birthed from fucking midichlorians. They're saying M count, it's like, brother, just say
Just
midichlorian.
say
Just
yep.
say it, just say
Yep.
it, just say
Yep.
I know a lot of people have issues with midichlorians and they're saying M count.
PTSD.
Yes, yes, PTSD, so they have to, like, baby it. They have to say M
Yep.
count instead of midichlorian count. But the fact that they're like, "Yeah, no, Omega's blood is, like, getting the M count to, like, bond with it or properly
Yeah.
attach to it, so then they can secure and these clones going forward can have the same
Mhm.
midichlorian levels as the Emperor and be as powerful as the Emperor, so he can
Mhm.
just remain dictator for years and years on, like, when
Forever.
he said yeah, forever, and when he says secure the future line, I'm like, "Damn, we are securing the future for 6 movies from now."
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is insane the setup they're doing, and when they, don't get the job done, they're like, "Fuck it, we're going to just blowing up other planets. We
Mhm.
we can't, we can't have this guy stay and rule, so instead we're just gonna kill everyone who's just gonna
Who's gonna
who's
oppose
gonna
us? Yep.
yeah, who's gonna oppose and stand up to us." Like, that is dude, that is insane for
Yeah.
Star Wars, like, that is
Yeah.
insane.
It's one of those things that it's like just the top level thinking. You just don't really think about that much. But when you actually like look a level deeper and just realize
Yeah.
how messed up this is.
Yeah. Yeah, which, like, it's finally cool to have, like, in the prequels, they're doing, like, who's pulling the strings, the Emperor's doing
Mhm.
this to become the new Supreme Chancellor. It's like House of Cards-esque shit,
Oh
right? We're
yeah.
doing in the prequels. And then in the original trilogy and sequel, like, early sequels, we're just making a new fucking planet to basically blow up other planets. We're making Death
Mhm.
Stars. That is so just, like, boring, right? But to do this, like, cool ass science experiments to try to just not blow up
Mhm.
the planets and just get the Emperor to live that way, I find, like, that's a lot more intriguing to me than,
Yep.
a Death Star or Death Star 2.0 or Star Killer, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's the shit I love, and so
Yep.
when it's all said and done, like, and I really think about it, like, I would rank this number 1.
Mhm.
Where would this sit amongst your ranking?
Like honestly, like I think I have too much of a soft spot for Rebels for me for it to
Right.
outrank that. But man, I think this is honestly right up there. Like if maybe not tied for one, but definitely number two for me.
Right, like, this is, like, would like and I definitely get it, right, with the Rebels and that family and that group dynamic in the
Hmm.
original trilogy era with Thrawn and all that, and Vader and all that stuff. Like, I get that placement, but, like, when it comes
Hmm.
to 2 for you, would you put this above Clone Wars?
Oh, 100%. Like Clone Wars,
Yeah,
I it's one of those things that because of and how much legitimate filler that show has. Like
right.
that's your actual filler episodes where it's just
Yeah.
droids just an episode's all about droids doing
Oh,
whatever.
dude, a whole arc about droids doing whatever,
Yeah,
to the point like, I got to that arc, and I was just like, "Let me watch the 15-second recap," right? Like, the
right.
fucking, destruction of the galaxy kinda guy, like, let me
Mhm.
just have him
Yep.
tell me what happened in this, like, arc, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so like to the point where like there's so many like viewing guides of like basically cut out all the filler. It's like, well, you're
right.
cutting out half the show at that point. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. If you have to cut out half the show for the show to be good,
yeah.
like, you've kinda lost the sauce, right? Which, like, I definitely do agree with you, and, like,
Like
I
if
re
season seven by itself, amazing.
yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah, and
the other
but
six, it's like I don't know if I'll ever go back to it, gonna be honest.
yeah, but still in season 7, we're still having, like, the twin sisters, like, that
Yeah.
arc to then deal with, to then get Ahsoka to come back, right? Like, there's still
Hmm.
filler even within the 7th season. I think it's just yeah, it's like it's cool that it's more, tied in with the Skywalker saga. We see a lot
Hmm.
more of Anakin and Obi-Wan and, the grander universe stuff
Yep.
with them, right? And the
The
Force
Jedi
gods and
Council and all that. Yeah.
right, and we understand Anakin's turn a lot more by the end of it, but
Mhm.
Like I said, they did that in 7 seasons when Bad Batch did all this cool, great Clone War era shit in just 3,
Mhm.
and kinda had the same effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in conclusion, Star Wars good, Bad Batch fucking great, dude.
Yup.
Yeah, this is oh, man. I love it so much
Peak
at
Star Wars.
peak Star Wars, honestly. It's up there. I don't know how I'd rank it amongst the live action shows. I don't
Right.
even wanna get into that. That
Nope.
fuck, maybe that's a episode for another time is ranking all the shows,
Yeah.
amongst themselves, but, overall, Star Wars good. Hopefully, we get to come back and talk some more Clone Wars era stuff in the future.
Mhm.
2025, 2026. Maybe we follow up with Rex and the boys and come back, but until
Mhm.
then, we're gonna be talking Phantom Menace. We're gonna be talking Tales of the Empire, and a whole lot more Star Wars here this month. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification button so you see all that stuff. Until then, we'll see you at the next. This is the Waypoint.